Brave New Normal is a parable about the dehumanization of human beings. In the dystopia described in this story, mankind lives isolated and subordinated to its own inventions, science, technology, and social organization. These creations have ceased to serve society. They've instead become its masters. Nearly a century has passed since Aldous Huxley's Brave New World was published. And in that time, our world has taken so many steps in the wrong direction that if Huxley were writing it today, he would likely date this story not 600 years in the future, as he originally did, but in a close one. One in which people, for the sake of fairness and safety, lived in an unreal bubble. One they could have named the new normal. The price of liberty, even of common humanity, is eternal vigilance.
Showtime.
These are the sounds of the brave new normal, of test tubes and decanter, of hissing injectors and gurgling blood substitute. The year is AG 132, 132 years after Gates. This is the Year 1 class of the Social Manufacturing degree. Mr. Thomas Tesla, in person, the Director of Hatcheries and Conditioning, is bringing the students on a virtual tour through the fertilizing room. An enormous AI-controlled laboratory where the temperature is never allowed to fall below 37 degrees Celsius.
Tomorrow you'll be settling down for serious work. Today I just want to give you a general idea on how we run things here. These are the incubators, and here is the quick supply of bucket and blood heat. Look closer, students. Now, here is where we immerse the eggs into a warm bouillon containing free-swimming spermatozoa. Immersion continues until all the eggs are fertilized. And over here here is where we bottle the alphas and the betas. In short, my dear boys and girls, the perfect process for manufacturing healthy babies. Are there any questions?
Sir, will you explain the Bokanovsky process?
I'm glad you asked that. Students, take this down. Bokanovsky process, where in olden times one egg made one embryo which made one baby. Today we have improved on all of that. Now the egg will divide from 8 to 96 buds, and every bud will grow into a perfectly formed embryo. And every embryo into a mature baby, making 96 human beings grow when only grew one before. Progress.
But what advantage is it, sir? I
Oh
mean,
my good boy, can you see? Bokanovsky process is one of the major instruments of social stability. Well, in olden times, nature allowed us to have twins, perhaps triplets at the maximum. Today we can create scores, yes, scores of identical individuals. We can manufacture men and women in uniform batches. Think of it. An entire factory stuffed with the product of one single egg. 96 identical individuals operating 96 identical control stations. At last, society really knows what it stands. Community, identity, stability. That is our motto. No civilization without social stability. No social stability without individual stability. Remember, it was our Gates who gave us the concept of new normality when he was on Earth many decades ago, and taught us the importance of social compliance. Let's look closer into the process. Well, Elona.
Oh, hi, Director.
Charming, charming. What are you injecting into our fertilized eggs today, my dear? Typhoid antitoxins?
Yes, sir.
Are you busy this afternoon?
Not after 5, sir.
Imagine that we get some FaceTime.
That would be nice.
I have admired you for some time, Elona. I look forward to a closer acquaintance. And now, boys and girls, off we go to the bottling room where we shall see how we create each class of society. Alphas, betas, gammas. Off we go.
Well, aren't you lucky? Director of Hatcheries and Conditioning?
Hello, Alanis.
Oh, you can trust him to be the perfect gentleman. I saw he direct messaged you.
Well, he wants me.
There, you see, that shows what he stands for. The strictest conventionality. And I think it's about time you start belonging to someone else too.
But I like Henry Turing. We've only been seeing each other 4 months.
4 months. What would the resident controller say, Luna? You know how he dislikes anything intense or long drawn. And it isn't as though there were anything disagreeable with being with 1 or 2 other men besides Henry. You know what they say, everyone belongs to everyone else.
You're right, Alanis. As usual.
Good girl.
What do you think of Bernard Musk?
Bernard?
Why not? He's an Alpha Plus. Besides, he asked me to go to New Mexico with him to the Savage Reservation.
You mean going?
Yes, he said that he didn't want to experience it through a screen. He said he wanted to be there live.
But his reputation. They say he doesn't even like obstacle golf, and that he spends most of his time by himself, offline. They say somebody made a mistake when he was still in the bottle, thought he was a gamma, and switched out his blood substitute with alcohol.
What nonsense!
That's why he's so stunted. Your life, my dear, but I just want to say, I think you're headed for trouble.
The nursery was 105 kilometers away from the hatchery building, but it made no real difference for the students. After all, the virtual tour was only one swipe away for them. The students themselves were probably hundreds of kilometers away from each other, or maybe just a few levels away in one of the interconnecting pods in the new normal District 5. They did not know. They did not care. After all, it's not as if they are actually going to meet each other. They could, why not? Traveling across the globe was a matter of minutes at the most. But what for? The sign over the door said Neo-Pavlovian Conditioning Room. It is a large, bare laboratory where research is being done by beta-minus nurses on how to improve and refine social conditioning procedures. The nurses stiffened to attention when the director of hatcheries and conditioning appeared in the screens, surrounded by his students.
Oh, here's our head nurse, Mr. Bill Minsky.
Oh, hello there, sir.
Would you be as kind as to demonstrate our students a hint of your Neo-Pavlovian procedure?
Oh, well, we could do more than that. They could try out for themselves.
Ah, excellent. Please, proceed.
Okay, students. This is a process designed for infants from all castes, from 1 till give or take 3 years old. For didactic purposes, I will be demonstrating it with a test subject. Students, please hold your sensorial devices tight.
With a commanding move, the head nurse called for the help of a Gamma janitor, who appeared with a tray.
Please set out the items.
In silence, the janitor obeyed his command. In between two rose bowls, a series of ancient mobile phones were duly set out.
Alright, now, would you sit down? Would you please sit down? Yes, you please.
The janitor, self-consciously seated in front of the items, looked at them uncomfortably.
Would you mind touching the items?
The Gamma subject looked closely at the flowers and the mobiles, with some apprehension mixed with a mild curiosity to their gay and brilliant shapes and colors. The smell was pleasant, and the electronic devices had flashy screens. His hand reached out uncertainly, touched and grasped, unpedaling the roses and crumpling the illuminated screens of the mobile phones.
Students, please pay attention. Director, would you do the honors and pull the lever? Now, what you've just experienced is a mild electric shock sent by our beloved director from his sensorial device. I will now activate yours to send some to our test subject there. Don't worry, he can't see you. Come on now, tap tap, don't be shy.
One by one, and then 2 by 2, and soon, all at once, the students started sending electric shocks to the janitor, who could not understand what was happening.
That's enough. Thank you. You may leave. Thank you for your services. Observe henceforth, students. Electronic devices and flowers will now be associated in his mind with loud, unpleasant laughter and electric shocks. And after about 200 repetitions of the same or similar lessons, the lesson will be wedded in forever. What man has joined, nature is powerless to put asunder. He will be safe from technology and botany for all his life.
But, sir, since he's a lower caste individual anyways and will never need to operate control stations, why bother conditioning him against flowers?
I can answer to that. Simple economics.
Well, sir, what unexpected pressure. Students, this is the resident controller of District 5 of the new normal. His gate hit, Steve Nakamoto. coming, sir. Please, could you elaborate on that?
Well, certainly. If gammas, deltas, or even epsilons enjoy flowers and nature, soon you'd have them wasting their time offline, visiting the countryside. And of what economic use is that? A love of nature keeps no factories busy. It was decided to abolish it, at least among the lower classes.
Okay, students, now that we have here the resident controller, do you have any more questions for him?
Sir, would you tell us about sleep teaching?
I am glad you asked that. Our social engineering system is based on ectogenesis, neo-Pavlovian conditioning, and...
Hypnopedia!
Yes, you're right. The most ingenious development of all, hypnopedia, sleep teaching. It's given to all of our children, regardless of the caste, as they grow to maturity. A little voice murmurs slogans in the ear all night long while they sleep. Of course, it's useless for teaching, but as a method of giving post-hypnotic suggestions, it's invaluable. It's what conditions our minds to love our future role in life. Now, guys, tell me some of the lessons we've all learned through sleep teaching.
A flash, you will never feel trash.
Good example. We've learned to take a flash of soma whenever we feel out of sorts. Euphoric, narcotic, pleasantly hallucinant. Soma transports our minds into a beautiful sleep filled with wonderful images. It gives us a soma holiday, thus preventing unnecessary impulses, such as anger, jealousy, envy, or anxiety. Next.
Ending is better than mending.
Good. It's better to throw away something than to repair it. New clothing, new possessions keep our factories humming and make us happier. Next.
I'm glad I'm not a gamma.
Yes. We're all taught nicely to enjoy our own caste, whatever it may be. Gammas are taught to think, I'm glad I'm not an epsilon. Betas learn to think, glad they're not deltas or gammas.
I'm glad you're not alphas, because we alphas sometimes have to operate all these complicated devices and use our minds, and that's very painful.
Very good indeed. Thank you very much, Resident Controller, for your wise insights. Well, students, I think our tour is over for today. I'm sure all of you will have tactile dates with all girls and boys, so off we go.
Well, Director, if you don't mind, before we finish, I'd like to add a few footnotes to the things you've learned today. We now have a controlled society, a happy society. We have stability. There was a time when these things did not exist.
Sir, didn't people used to grow old and feeble in those days?
Indeed they did. Old men in the bad old days used to renounce, retire, take to religion, spend their time unconnected, reading, thinking. Now, such is progress, that at 60 we have the taste and the energy of a 17-year-old. Now the senior citizens have no time, no leisure from pleasure, not a moment to sit down and think. They're much too busy scampering from sensory film to sensory film, from boy to boy, from girl to girl, all permanently connected and utterly pneumatic. Fortunate students, no pains have been spared to make your lives emotionally easy, to preserve you as far as possible from having emotions at all. Nothing was normal before the new normal.
Nothing was normal before the new normal.
And solemnly and devoutly, they made the sign of the double N and hurried off to join their fellow citizens at play.
So you don't much like civilization, Mr. Savage?
No, I don't. John, you're talking to the resident controller.
We don't need your comments, Mr. Musk.
I think civilization is horrid.
And yet, people are happy. They get what they want, and they never want what they can't get. They're well off, they're safe, they're never ill. They're not afraid of death. They're blissfully ignorant of passion and old age. They're plagued with no mother or father. They've got no wives or children to feel strongly enough. And they're so conditioned that they practically can't help behaving as they ought to. And you ask them to chuck all of this away for liberty? For the liberty to be inefficient and miserable? For the freedom to be a round peg in a square hole? My good boy.
It's all the same. It's quite horrible to me.
Well, of course it does. Actual happiness always looks pretty squalid in comparison with the overcompensations for misery, and being contented has none of the glamour of a good fight against misfortune. Happiness is never grand.
Calling this happiness? You're living in isolated rooms without touching each other. You're working in an embryo assembly line, manufacturing babies.
Science, my boy. Besides, they like it. Well, Mr. Musk, Mr. Leibniz, the time has come. You're both being sent to separate islands.
To an island? You can't send me. It was the others. I swear it was the others. Oh, please, sir, don't send me to Iceland. I promise I'll conform. I'll follow the rules.
One would think that you were going to have your throat cut. Whereas if you had the smallest sense, you'd understand your punishment is really a reward. You'll be sent to an island where you'll be able to offline meet the most interesting set of men and women in our society. All the people who weren't satisfied with orthodoxy, everyone in a word. Who's anyone? I almost envy you both, gentlemen.
Really? No wonder you're going to the island yourself?
I almost did, but finally, I preferred this. Well, remember, I had to engage your services, Mr. Leibniz, to help me and to help others to forget that part of my history. Sometimes I regret it. Happiness is a harsh master, especially other people's happiness. But power has its perks. Anyway, it's time for you to make a decision. There are many islands available. Any preference, Mr. Leibniz?
I should like one with a thoroughly bad climate. I like to contend such difficulties as a writer.
I like your spirit, Mr. Leibniz. How about the Falkland Islands? Good. You may leave now. You too, Mr. Musk. If you insist on not going to Iceland, I could offer you a splot in the good old islands of Britain.
Britain? But the food there's terrible. Any chance of Penang?
Penang it is. Off you go.
Goodbye, Helmholtz.
Bye, Bernard. Bye, John.
One question.
Oh, of course.
Where is goodness and humanity in this grand scheme of yours?
Now that's a subject that's always been of great interest to me. You've never read any of these, of course. The Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the Bhagavad Gita, the Pali Canon, the Tao. The Critique of Pure Reason, the Republic, the Book of Healing, the Analects, the Art of War, a treatise of human nature. May I continue? I've got quite a few old books like these here.
If you know about philosophy, about humanism, about God, why aren't you just telling the people?
These books are old. It's about humanity hundreds of years ago, not in our society now.
But humanity doesn't change. God doesn't change.
Well, society does, though. Now, my friend, call it the fault of civilization, God, or any hope for transcendence. It isn't compatible with machinery and scientific medicine and universal happiness.
But it's natural to just think about transcendence, about God. It is natural when you're alone at night. It's okay to be thinking about death.
But people are never alone now. We make them hate solitude, and we arrange their lives so it's almost impossible for them to ever have it. No solitude, no need for transcendence.
Is that why there's no self-denial, no transcendence, no God, no reason for it all?
Of course. Industry and prosperity are only possible when there's no self-denial. The world of wheels and the wheels of the world will just stop turning.
But goodness, humanity, transcendence, they are all the reasons for everything noble, fine, and heroic.
My dear young friend, civilization has absolutely no need for nobility or heroism. You're conditioned so that you can't help doing what you ought to do. And what you ought to do is, on the whole, so pleasant. So many of your natural impulses are allowed free play that there really aren't any temptations to resist. Anybody can be virtuous now. No temptations, no inconvenience.
But I like the inconveniences.
We don't. We prefer to do things comfortably.
But I don't want comfort. I want greatness. I want poetry. I want real danger. I want freedom. I want goodness. I want sin.
In fact, you're claiming the right to be unhappy.
All right then. I'm claiming the right to be unhappy.
Not to mention the right to go old and impotent and ugly, the right to have cancer, the right to have too little to eat, the right to live in constant apprehension of what may happen tomorrow, the right to be tortured by unspeakable pain of every kind.
I claim them all.
You're welcome.
Bernard and Helmholtz left for their respective islands, but the savage was not allowed to go with them. The controller wished to continue his experiment, and after 3 weeks, the savage ran away. After a few days of wandering, he finally came back to his old normal village, but things had been drastically changed, and his desire for solitude was not to be fulfilled. His old normal haven had turned into an electronic graveyard, where new normal technology would be dumped in favor for newer, better things. Ending was better than mending, as they say. Old normal folk quickly got used to new normal comfort, even if such comfort was built at their expense. After some time, the savage's hiding spot was found. Articles about it were written and published in online papers, and sightseers flocked by the thousands to his wall screens. There was no use for him to try to ignore them or to cover the walls with cloth. They were still there. They were always there. One Sunday, Ilona Lovelace organized a virtual picnic with 3 of her latest boyfriends and connected to the savage's house. The next day, 2 young reporters came to his house hoping for an exclusive interview. The savage's door was ajar. They knocked and stepped in to a shuttered twilight and found the savage's body lying on the floor. They called out to him. There was no response. They kept their social distance. At last, the savage had finally found his solitude. He was quite alone now. Quite alone.
Oh, wonder, how many goodly creatures are there here?
How beauteous mankind is.
Oh, brave new world that has such people in it.
Oh, wonder, how many goodly creatures are there here?
How beauteous mankind is.
Oh, brave new world that has such people in it.
Oh wonder, how many goodly creatures are there here?
How beauteous mankind is.
Oh, brave new world that has such people in it.
Oh, wonder, how many goodly creatures are there here?
How beauteous mankind is.
Oh brave new world that has such people in it.
Oh wonder, how many goodly creatures are there here? How beauteous mankind is. Oh brave new world that has such people